Thank you, Chairperson, for this session this afternoon. Standing on the protocols already announced in the interest of this great conference, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, delegates of this second Pan-African Conference on family and cultural values, the host country, the great Republic of Uganda, a nation we are proud as members of the black race, this continent of Africa, for standing out for the preservation of humanity by refusing any blackmail. We salute you. On behalf of the Republic of Kenya, your neighbor, we salute you for your stand. In the interest of the conference attention, allow me, Chair, to quote some of the thoughts shared by other writers. We don't have to reinvent the wheel when we are encouraging one another. But first, before I give our thoughts, I want to appreciate all the presenters that gave us a lot of insight into the goings-on in the international arena and conspiracies that yet again is planning to deprive Africa their sense of dignity as the members of the human race. Yet again, they want to tell us we are not on the table, by the table, and that we are supposed to be on the menu because of our minerals and natural resources. I want to thank you, the presenters, those who are here and those who have already left. But allow me to quote from an editor of one of the, what they call the Times of India, a lady by the name Finita Daura Nangia. She said in one of her articles, allow me to read, quote, "Do we stop to think of the sacrifices made and what it meant to be treated as a second-class citizens in our own country? Or is that just relegated to our history books and then left behind along with our years as students? Do we make an attempt to carry that baton, or does it lie unattended somewhere in the compartments of our offices?" End of quote. Ladies and gentlemen, we are seated in this conference not as a ceremonial meeting. We are the sons and daughters of the freedom fighters that fought for independence for our African countries. In the interest of those who are watching us by online, I wish to repeat again, we are not seated here for some kind of cultural entertainment, entertaining the world with some words repeating about who we are. We are the sons and we are the daughters of the freedom fighters that brought independence to all the countries of Africa. Samuel Huntington is a professor who taught political science in America for almost half a century, has written a book containing political prophecy about days to come after the Cold World War. He has written a book called The Clash of Civilizations and the Making of the New World Order. In this book, he has said, the primary source of conflict in the post-Cold War era will not be ideology, and it will not be between countries and countries, but he says it will be between those who stand with the people's cultural and religious identity and those who are against it. End of quote. Somebody commented when he was writing. And therefore, where we are headed to, we cannot be limited by other people deciding how we should live and whether we can be in this world like other people. We fought for our independence. We will also fight for our values and dignity. Ladies and gentlemen and members of this great conference and delegates, on behalf of Kenyan delegation, we are seated here yet again, be present with you. We reaffirm the resolutions of Entebbe 1. We have no regret about it. We stand by it and every detail given, whether it refers to Cotonou Declaration, and we were aware about the one which was coming, known as Samoa. We stand by and reaffirm our stand and on that declaration. Number two, our culture remains the basis of our identity, because without identity, you got no destiny. You are just buretu if you have no color in terms of what is right and wrong. Then who are you? In Kiswahili, we say, we ni nyanga ugani. What animal are you? Because elephants behave with a certain culture. Giraffes in our country behaves in a certain culture. Animals do it. You as a human being must have culture. And therefore, we stand by culture, that is our cultural values, and we believe in it mutating, but without losing the foundation of the same. The second thing, the third issue, the protection of family. It is central to our stand as the delegation from Kenya. Notwithstanding anything else, family is about a natural preservation of a race and a people. Other options are unsustainable. The ones being recommended and given some names that are suggesting they are just words that impress us. It has no scientific proof. It is not based on scientific discovery. It is just agitation from people who are really working on a certain idea that needs to be accepted by campaigning for it. It is a product of coercing. For them to survive, they must recruit, they must propagate, they must sustain it by their own effort. But a human family, which is natural, it takes only a man and a woman to enter into that room. And when they come out, there is a product. We have the next generation. These are the characters, they go inside there and they come out empty. And they look around for adoption. We will not be blackmailed. In all human societies, the family is a primary social unit. and as an institution, the family is older than that of religion or state. Children are born and nurtured in the family until such time as they grow into adults and found their own families. That is our stand. Fourth, we cannot allow, therefore, any treaty to put our countries into silos. We cannot accept to be balkanized. They may have succeeded in some few treaties ago, but from this conference, I think we are going home with a new impetus. We want to speak to our parliaments and our leadership in our own countries that Africa is one. The wave in West Africa in this century are the young men and women coming to a new renaissance, that Africa is one, must be treated from Egypt to South Africa, from eastern coast to the western coast. Africa is our continent, and we are proud as black men and women that this is our continent. We cannot be balkanized, but we remain as one. So what happens in the east affects the west, what happens in the south affects the north, and we are our brothers' keepers, and we must stand with them. Friends, as we conclude this conference, I'm sure the writing is going on, is that we need an executor of our resolutions. We need an administration for any organization such as ours, which brings leaders together. We need a secretariat that carries out this resolution and be able to carry it out into all institutions that are expected to implement, including the AU, including all regional places, and including heads of governments. We visit them and make what they call a courtesy call and make sure that we sensitize everyone that is concerned. I hope this conference will adopt that we need to have a secretariat, and Brother Chair, you can guide us from Uganda's experience, and it is you who have hosted us. We don't want to come here and do the same thing all the time. We want to come here and read about the progress on how we have caucused on the resolutions that we have made. Also, I wish to declare that on behalf of Kenyan delegates, we join all of you who have spoken ahead of us, that we declare unwavering support to the Republic of Uganda, the President and its Parliament and its people, on their decision and how they have stood on this subject matter of homosexuality. Africa might have been silent, but that is not true that they are against Uganda. We are with Uganda. And therefore, I hope it will be included in our discussion, communicate tomorrow, that as we have said by all delegates, that we demand the unconditional lifting of all sanctions that has been levied on Uganda. And any embargo on any individual or ceasing of property of any individual while exercising a public duty in the Republic of Uganda in the business of saying he cannot visit the free world. Listen to the irony of our friends. In 1949, they wrote about NATO, which brings together 30 countries, or in terms of security and securing themselves. In what is declared as Washington Treaty, they declared, quote, that an attack against one ally, is an attack against all. This was at the core of that alliance, and a promise of a collective defense End of quote. In the spirit of this, it cannot be good for them and can be wrong for us. We as a continent of 53 countries, an attack on one is an attack on all of us. And we take this opportunity to implore and appeal to our heads of states and governments in Africa to come out and defend our own. Today it is Uganda, tomorrow it might be Kenya. The other day will be South Africa. Now that you are moving to move out of WHO, you are facing sanction in days to come. And then we will stand together. Allow me to conclude, Chair, by reading words that were written by Mahatma Gandhi in 1927 as he wrote to his grandson. He said, son, as you grow into the world, remember that there are 7 deadly sins in society. I know you might have read them, but let me remind you. Number 1, it is wealth without work. Africa, if you roam around the world looking for wealth without work, you're walking into deadly traps. Pleasure without conscience. That we accept definition of sexual experiences as given. Very crazy. As if Africa is learning how and what sex is all about. Come on, my grandfather, Pundotij, Arab Korat, in many years ago, knew how to marry a woman and knew how to have sex. That is why they've sired my father. And my father, of course he was better because he went to the Second World War. But he was born of illiterate father and mother who never went to school, but they know how to do this thing. What is this? Are you talking about comprehensive sexuality health education? Who educated my grandfather? They know what to do. In fact, they were trying only to control from immature. You know, we are restraining. Otherwise, born as a son, they know where they want to go and they know where to look for it. Knowledge without character, commerce without morality, science without humanity, religion without sacrifice, and finally, politics without principle. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Bishop. It appears it was designed to be the last contribution.
I was advised that I should say the name. Actually, I am Honorable Bishop Emeritus, meaning I have retired in the circles of Christian world. When you are emeritus means you retire and retain the title. You have been allowed to retain the title and respect of the name. So I didn't lose it. And then Dr. Jackson Kosgei, a member of parliament in the Kenyan parliament. Thank you for having me.
Very well, thank you so much. Honourable members, we have had our contributions. We are going to go to open discussion by participants. We were supposed to have, honourable members, will you lend me your ears? The contribution by delegation and technical persons towards the draft outcome document appears to be the same as what we've discussed, only that this one, we are looking at technical persons. So in the contribution, in the open discussions, if there are technical persons, whether you are a legal person or medical person, with regards to the 2 topics that we have been presented to us, you can come out with your own understanding so that we can include it in the draft document. So we are going to open discussions, and we have 1 hour to do that. So anybody who is touched with the 2 presentations, but probably didn't get opportunity by his country to make formal contributions, may raise his hands and be called to contribute by way of the discussion that we are going to undertake. Thank you. Yes.